While the agricultural sector has been one of the few shining lights in an economy battered by high COVID-19 infections, a steep recession and chronic unemployment, food security, of course, being top of the agenda. For more on the role played by the sector during the pandemic, we're joined by Agric Executive Director Christo van der Rede. Christo, good evening to you and thanks for your time. While we have seen the resilience of the agricultural sector during the pandemic and the associated lockdowns, it doesn't mean that it has been without consequence for some of your members and some of those that you represent in the sector.
Indeed, the health sector, together with the agriculture sector, were both declared essential services just before the lockdown. And one would have expected that, given the fact that food security is so critical for the country, that government would have also prioritized the vaccination for the agricultural workers, farm workers, together with farmers, and also other parts of the agriculture sector. That has not happened as yet, and one keeps our fingers crossed that will happen going into the future as soon as possible. But yes, if you do not have a vaccinated workforce in the agriculture sector, it might lead to bigger problems eventually, which might impact on food security or on the status of food security in South Africa.
We're now facing the possibility of a third wave of this pandemic being worse than the previous two that we have had. What does that mean for the sector and how are you preparing for it?
We were quite fortunate last year that the sector has done quite well. We had very good rains, and as you know, farming is a high-risk business. And if you have good rains, obviously it lays the basis for a very good season. So this year we also had very good rains. We've seen high production or high yields in terms of citrus production, also maize production. So all of these things bodes very well for food security in South Africa. What we're very concerned about is obviously the bottlenecks in our harbors. We struggle to get things imported, and we also had problems earlier this year to export some of the stuff. Hopefully those issues will be resolved. But we are quite concerned about the prices also of some of the things that we import, especially fertilizer prices. And that impacts again on the profit margin of the farming sector. But we still remain very blessed, and we pass that on to our consumers out there so that they don't go hungry. And that for us is our first priority.
Any particular expectations that you have of the president tonight in a speech that is highly anticipated to be the announcement of further restrictions on the economy?
Now, we are quite worried. As you know, our economy is now recovering at a very good pace, and we need to keep up that momentum. We've seen high levels of unemployment also in the country, and we need to address that through economic growth. In terms of the farming sector, we expect, should there be a lockdown, that will be classified as an essential service, and that we continue as business as usual. But obviously, there's a massive responsibility on us to make sure that we observe all health protocols, that we do not expose our workers and whoever in the sector to this COVID pandemic. And if anything happens wherever in the sector, that we report that immediately to authorities and make sure that people get the necessary treatment. But overall, I think we are ready. Should this be a stricter lockdown, we have a permit system in place. We engage with our Minister Toko Didiza. We engage with our CEO of Transnet so that the sector remains in operation.
Agric Executive Director Christo van der Rede, thanks for your time tonight.